All aboard the Storybook Express, where Ruby Choo Choo presents
The Emperor's New Clothes, based on the story written in 1837 by Hans Christian Andersen, retold by Margaret Snyder. Long ago, there lived an emperor who loved clothes more than anything else. He spent much of his money on new clothes, most of his time showing them off to the people of his kingdom. Two thieves heard about the emperor's love of fine clothes and thought of a clever way to make money. Pretending to be tailors, they went to see the emperor. They told him they could weave the world's most amazing cloth. Only the wisest people will see the cloth's bright colors and patterns. It will be invisible to fools and those who are unfit for their jobs, claimed the thief. Your cloth will make me look grand while making me a more powerful ruler. I will be able to tell who is wise and who is foolish. I will know who is unfit for his job, the emperor proclaimed. I must have a suit made from it. He gave the tailors 2 bags of gold. The false tailors set up their looms in the castle and pretended to start weaving. Back and forth the looms went, but the tailors were not actually making anything at all. Now and then they would ask for silk, gold thread, or money to buy more supplies. When the goods were delivered, they would hide them in a chest and go back to pretending to work on the empty looms. As time passed, the emperor wanted to check on his new suit, but he was afraid to do it himself. What if I can't see the cloth? He worried. My people will think I'm a fool and unfit to be emperor. Then the emperor had an idea. My secretary is wise and very good at his job. I'll send him to check the cloth, decided the emperor. The tailors jumped up to greet the secretary and started bragging about the cloth they were making. They asked him to feel the pretend cloth and admire its beauty, bold colors. The secretary was very surprised when he saw the empty looms. I can't see anything, he thought. If I tell the emperor, he'll say I'm foolish or unfit for my job. After a moment, the secretary cleared his throat. The cloth is beautiful, he said aloud. I will tell the emperor at once. Days passed, and the tailors continued to pretend to work the looms and request more supplies. Again, the emperor wanted to check the tailors' progress, but he was still afraid to look for himself. This time, he sent his trusted treasurer. Come in! See our fantastic fabric! Shouted the dishonest tailors when he heard the treasurer knock on the door. The treasurer entered and stared blankly at the empty looms. It does take your breath away, doesn't it? Said one tailor with a grin. The treasurer had heard that the cloth could only be seen by those who were wise and by people fit for their jobs. He didn't want to lose his place on the royal staff. The cloth's beauty is beyond words, agreed the treasurer. I will tell the emperor at once. When the treasurer left, the thieves closed the door and doubled over with laughter. It's time for step 2 of our plan. One thief gasped, out of breath from so much laughter. The other agreed and picked up a pair of scissors and a few pins and needles. Then both tailors pretended to carry a large bowl of cloth, and they marched off to the emperor's chambers. The emperor was delighted to see the tailors and quickly waved them into his room. Here it is, your highness, one tailor said, holding up the imaginary bolt of cloth. Our beautiful, one-of-a-kind fabric. Ah, said the other tailor to the emperor, the colors are truly made just for you. The emperor was shocked because he saw nothing in their hands. But he remembered that his secretary and his treasurer had both been able to see the cloth. I'll just pretend to see it, and no one will know I am unfit for my job, the emperor thought. With that, he began shouting praises about the fabric. Now we must measure you for your suit, the tailor said. They asked the emperor to remove his outer clothes so they could fit the suit correctly. The tailors measured and snipped at the air with their scissors as if they were cutting the fabric. Next, the tailors draped the invisible fabric over the emperor and began sewing the air using needles without any thread. "There, we are finished," the tailors said at last. They walked the emperor over to one of his mirrors. "Tell us what you think," they begged. The emperor was astonished. Still, he could not see the clothes, but he did not want anyone to know. "It is a fabulous suit. You have done your work well," the emperor said. Just then, the emperor's staff entered the room. They had heard about the magical cloth and began to ooh and ah, afraid to admit that they could not see anything. Never had the emperor received such an enthusiastic reaction about his clothes. "There shall be a grand parade throughout the kingdom at once," he proclaimed proudly. Soon, it was time for the parade. People jammed the streets, eager to see the emperor's new clothes. When the emperor appeared, no one could see the clothes. Still, people shouted, "What a marvelous suit!" They did not want to appear foolish or unfit for their jobs. The emperor paraded on. The louder people yelled praise for the suit, the more the emperor smiled. Just as the emperor rounded the last corner of the parade route, a child stepped into the street. "The emperor isn't wearing any clothes," the little girl cried out loudly. The silence fell over the crowd. Everyone knew the child was speaking the truth. "The emperor has no clothes on," people said with a laugh. "The emperor has no clothes on." The emperor heard the people and realized they were right. He had been a fool. The clever thieves had vanished with his money. Today I've learned how important it is to trust one's own judgment. I've lost a lot of money, but I will not lose my pride, thought the emperor. He put an extra swing in his step and paraded on. Although his fortune was smaller, the emperor was now much, much wiser.
This has been the Storybook Express with Ruby Choo Choo.